What is good, YouTube family, Red Rebel Nation, Creek Squad? How's it going? Is your boy Deuces. I am back once again, guys. I am back with a Michael Vaughan video. 10 to Life is actually one of my favorites, guys. So I'm actually going to be reacting to her video today. This was yesterday's video she actually posted. As we know, Michael Vaughan is a 5-year-old missing boy who's been missing for a year and a half. They're excavating a backyard 2.5 miles from his home, basically. They're digging it up 4 feet down. Cadaver Dogs has been there. They're not releasing any information, but we know they do got someone actually arrested and basically charged for hiding a body. Now, is her husband involved? Who else was involved in this case, guys? But without further ado, guys, love yourself, like yourself, be nothing but yourself. Like and subscribe to the channel, it's highly appreciated. Let's get right into the video, guys.
Michael was only 5 at the time of his disappearance. There's only so many possibilities of what could have happened. Either he wandered off, was hurt in the home that he was living in with Brandy, Tyler, and Robert, or he was abducted. So the first thing police did was search a 1 to 2 mile radius around the area that Michael went missing, as I mentioned. They also cleared the family as there was no evidence of foul play on their property. However, that hasn't stopped media and public scrutiny of the parents, leaving the only other option there on the table being an abduction. A lot of people found Tyler to be negligent and Brandy to be insincere and theatrical. Look, I understand why people jump to that conclusion.
And you can kind of see that, guys, because look at their demeanors. Just because you have no emotions or kind of your mind isn't in the right spot, yours wouldn't be neither if your 5-year-old boy's been missing for a year and a half, guys. So we really can't look at these parents. I don't know if they've actually been cleared yet. Uh, not suspects. I'm not for sure that. I think they actually have, but I know that they actually arrested one of the neighbors and she actually tipped it off that he was actually in their backyard. So this whole thing is getting crazy, guys. But anyways, let's jump right back to the video.
But when the family stands by the Piatt County Police, ISP, and the FBI during every single press conference, it's safe to say they're cleared or certainly are still being looked into. I mean, they're not trying to evade the investigation in any sort. Not to mention, police have happily said that they are always cooperating with the investigation and have always made it a point to tell the press and the public to respect their privacy. So I just don't understand how people can be so callous and jump to conclusions about people that they know nothing about, who are grieving and in the worst kind of pain imaginable with missing a child when police are saying that they're cooperating. It also bothers me to hear rumors of a police cover-up, which is also something that's been circling the internet, especially when other departments who have no loyalty to such a small Idaho County department are joining the investigation to help. When police cover-ups happen, which is very rare by the way, although not impossible, it's usually within the local department, not statewide or even federally. So I just truly wish people could find better use of their times than putting these unfounded claims on this grieving family. There's resources, they're being vetted. Come on. It's okay to speculate. I know I do. I'm not trying to be holier than thou here, but to go out of your way based on rumors and zero facts, it's just not helpful when there's nothing that indicates even the slightest bit that there is something shady going on here. I think one of the major things, though, that has put speculation on the family, specifically Tyler, is how quiet he has been to the media. Brandy is the spokesperson for the family, and I can imagine Tyler feels very guilty that his son went missing on his watch. That's a horrible personal demon that should be dealt with alone, not publicly. It's also speculated that Tyler went much longer than 10 minutes not seeing Michael, which is fair, but you have to remember police have access to surveillance cameras throughout the neighborhood, as well as those eyewitness accounts, so they have a pretty good indication of when Michael went missing. Also in favor of what Tyler has said in the past, police were able to narrow down the timeline of when Michael likely disappeared. Originally, police had said that Michael disappeared between 6:30 p.m. and 7 p.m., going off the last time that his father saw him that night. It's now believed that he disappeared between 6:40 p.m. and 7 p.m. Tyler was later able to provide a receipt from the pizza that he had ordered, and the timestamp was 6:40 p.m. It's unclear why they changed it, but it's safe to say and assume that they have corroborating evidence indicative of where Michael was last seen by neighbors.
Tyler, can you walk us through just that night? I know you were home with the kids. Can you just walk?
Guys, before we go any further, let me speak on this real quick. So, I've said this before. If the family had cameras, we would have known exactly the time he left. We wouldn't have had to have looked at pizza receipts. Guys, you can get click cameras, and they're very good, guys. They have night vision and everything else. You can buy 2 of them for like $40, guys, and you can monitor through your phone. And you could even buy sensors at Walmart, guys, for like $10 a sensor and put them on your doors. So if you don't want cameras, get sensors that says something whenever someone walks by them. That's all you got to do. And if this would have happened in Quentin Simon and Michael Vaughan, Quentin Simon's different. They said that camera had to have been off at that moment, but every other camera basically they said was on. But the one camera the door he got out of, that camera was actually shut off at that moment. And go on to further, the father probably should have kept better track of where Michael Vaughan was at 100%, but he supposedly was playing his Nintendo Switch. And me as a father, he was changing the younger ones, so he lost track. But there's a time period to where it doesn't make sense at that time to where he should have seen where Michael Vaughan was at, but he thought he was in the room playing. So this whole thing, do I think the parents are involved in this? I do not. Neither does the police, or they would have done been in jail, guys, or named prime suspects. The people they have in jail that actually tipped off everything is the suspects that said Michael Vaughan was buried in the backyard. But 10 to Life went on to say that the cameras around the neighborhood. But what is it showing? Does it show exactly where Michael Vaughan was actually buried at? Does it show that he's actually in this backyard? They have to know something because they have excavators in this backyard, guys, digging 4 feet down, excavating the whole yard. Because the tip was given from the woman in jail that actually lived at that house. There goes on, there's TikTok videos of her sitting back and acting like nothing's wrong. Barbecue grill outside by the out in back wherever Michael Vaughan's actually supposedly buried. And as far as the parents go, guys, there's actually people calling Michael Vaughan's parents to try to get interviews with them and calling the police station to try to get tips before anyone else to make money. Leave people alone. Anyways, guys, let's get right back into the video.
Walk us through everything that happened last July.
Went back to change bug. Michael was playing on his Switch. She was sleeping, so it took a minute for me to rouse her. And then I changed a diaper and ordered pizza. Probably took me, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. And came back out and went outside to smoke, and Monkey wasn't outside, so I figured he was inside with his brother, wasn't inside, and then I started to freak out, and it's all kind of a blur from there, just running all over the neighborhood. And tickle tickle.
Hi, Pickles.
Did you, what time was that?
I ordered the pizza at 6:40. I really couldn't tell you any other timestamp besides that with 100% certainty. And I don't even know if that's when I entered the order or when I finished the order or what. The receipt said 6:40.
And were you in the house when you ordered, or were you outside?
No, I was in the back bedroom with Bug.
And following, I mean, when you realized that you didn't know where Michael was, I mean, what did you do then? Did you knock on neighbors' doors? Did you?
I came outside and I looked down the street and I hopped in the car and called Brandy and drove to the splash pad and then all over the neighborhood, walking, running, driving. Like I couldn't tell you where. I mean, I didn't leave the neighborhood, but all up and down this, 8th Street complex, we were both all over.
Some of the people that like to speculate are wondering, well, why did you call Brandy? Why didn't you just call the police first? I mean, what was your thought going into that? I mean, obviously it probably wasn't rational because you were anxious. But I mean, can you just explain a little bit about your process in that way?
I was scared, and she was the first person I thought to call. I needed her home as fast as I could because I was panicked and out of my mind.
Just going off of that.
Guys, look, I couldn't even imagine being a father of a 3-year-old and a 19-year-old, guys. If my 3-year-old got out the door, guys, I don't even know what my first step would be besides just call the cops. But then the cops ain't gonna do much. They didn't even issue an Amber Alert, guys. They said it didn't meet criterias for this. And this isn't the first time that it hasn't actually been issued an Amber Alert on top of all this stuff missing kids. So does the criteria for an Amber Alert need to actually be lessened down, guys? Where an Amber Alert could be actually issued right away? Instead of missing so long, an age, that should not matter. It just shouldn't. I think we need to change some things when it comes to our kids. When it comes looking out for our kids. More cameras. And there's got to be house cameras around that area. There has to be, to show more than what they showed, to know more than what they know. So hopefully they went around consulting people that has cameras in their yards to see what they could actually, tell them a little different of a story. That's what we should have. Anyways, guys, let's get right back to the video.
That question. I just think, I'm sure you guys see a lot of the stuff online as well. I mean, last person to see is people speculate about that. What would you say just to people to help clear your name a little bit?
Yeah. Anybody that's looked into the timeline, I feel like, there was no time for me to do anything. Not to mention I didn't leave the neighborhood besides in a cop car for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There's thousands of people everywhere. There's nothing that I could have done. And I don't know how some people don't see that, but.
Talk to me about your relationship with Michael.
Yeah.
What was he like to you?
Is.
Yeah.
Sir, is.
What is he like to you?
He's my best little buddy. We do, comic books, monster trucks. He's the sweetest little boy in the world. He was always trying to help.
Oh,
He's perfect with his sister. They have an amazing relationship.
both his sisters.
both his sisters.
And see, we could see the reason why people's actually looking into the family as if the mom and the father, as if they had something to do with this, or it was their dad's fault because Michael Vaughn got out the door. I mean, we could speculate all we want. Maybe should the dad have actually paid better attention to Michael Vaughn whenever he was changing the diaper? Maybe so, guys, but how many of us actually have went to another room to change our baby while the younger one's in the front room supposedly playing his Nintendo Switch? I do believe all of us probably have, guys. But that's the reason why, and I cannot stress this enough, put sensors at least on your door. Go to Walmart, $10 will buy you two. That's all you need. That way, if the kids was to walk through the sensor line, it would go off, and we know that, well, our kid exited the door, or an adult, or whoever else it may be. They protect us as well. It's that easy. Put them on, put them through your Wi-Fi, add the sensor to your phone, add a camera. That way you see who's coming and who's going through your house, guys. That's all these cases would actually need for us to actually catch our kid leaving the door. $20. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
He's a wonderful, wonderful little boy, and he doesn't deserve this.
So for the first year, things were quiet. There was no sign of Michael. There were no new leads. There was, of course, internet speculation, but that was it. And police gave another press conference at the 1-year mark of Michael's disappearance. Chief Huff facilitated, and Brandy spoke about Michael. The investigators put Michael's face in a national information database for missing children. Chief Huff made it clear that the longer the search goes on, the bigger the chances that Michael was abducted. Huff tells the public that they continue to receive and clear leads. They needed as much help as possible to bring Michael home. Chief Huff reminded the public about the 2 cars seen in the area at the time. The blue Dodge was cleared. However, he told the public to remain vigilant and to keep their eyes peeled for the same 2017 to 2018 Honda Pilot that was seen driving in the neighborhood the night Michael disappeared. They believe that the car belongs to a resident. They were able to identify and clear that jogger who was seen that night, but they also still needed to find out who that man walking near the splash pad in Crestview Park was. He clarified that neither the owner of the Honda nor the man seen walking were in trouble, but that they wanted to get in contact with them in case they had witnessed anything. The man walking was described as a white male in his late 20s to early 30s, wearing a sleeveless t-shirt and black shorts and a hat. The fact that out of 4 sightings in such a small area, only 2 were cleared is very worrisome to me. I would be so concerned that in such a small town and neighborhood, there were at least 2 unidentified people at this point wandering around that nobody could identify, up to a year later.
Michael's image and information went out to law enforcement nationwide on a database called the National Crime Information Center, or NCIC. And Michael's also been entered into the State of Idaho Missing Person Clearinghouse and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The Fruitland Police, Payette Police, and Payette County deputies and citizens searched through the night until support arrived the following morning. The ensuing response was immense. We had over 100 law enforcement officers from federal, state, and local agencies, including the FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, along with trained search teams, converge on our small city of Fruitland. Our physical search efforts were conducted by experts from the Idaho Fish and Game, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, both Fruitland and Sand Hollow fire departments, multiple law enforcement agencies, and coordinated citizen searchers. The search included over 200 residential homes, properties including outbuildings, a septic tank, garbage cans, vehicles, irrigation ditches, and drained canals. Trained search teams and law enforcement, along with specialized canine teams from across the country, searched over 3,000 acres of farm ground, along with areas surrounding the city and out into the county. Sophisticated drones, boats with sonar, boats with canines, kayaks, paragliders. I would say that if we could have dammed the Snake River, we would have. With the help of residences and businesses, we were able to retrieve hours and hours of security camera video, and we continue to reference that video while working on our leads. So let's talk about since the disappearance of Michael. When I tell you our investigation has been intense and daily, I can assure you that it has been. Since the disappearance, detectives and investigators across the country have logged tens of thousands of man-hours to bring this case to conclusion. We've gathered an immense amount of data and continue to work through it with experts from several agencies. We've applied for and served over 27 search warrants, but that may seem low, but I'm telling you that we've also performed probably triple that in mutual consent type searches. So
And guys, you got to think this is a year and a half. This 5-year-old has been missing for a year and a half now. And finally, we're actually found out where he's supposedly at by the owners, by the renters of the house that Michael Vaughan supposedly was at and buried in the backyard. But it doesn't say how Michael Vaughan actually got to that property, guys. What happened? So the woman that actually lived in that home is actually charged with not reporting a death. So that goes to tell me, did they have Michael Vaughan in that house as like their quote unquote own kid? Because if you look at the TikTok videos, you actually see, and it's actually on my channel, you actually see a little girl running up to the doorbell, ringing it, and talking to the guy, her husband, in that video. The husband has actually been in jail a little longer than what she has. So, but it is said that she actually is the woman that actually rents the home, actually is the one that gave the tip that Michael Vaughan was actually buried in the backyard. But how does he get there? That's a whole piece that is missing. Hopefully that comes up, guys. Hopefully all this he gets found, gets put to rest, guys, and his family can actually have a fresh of breath air, I guess. Breath of fresh air, I may say. All this stuff with all these missing kids is going crazy, guys. All we need is something around our house to protect our young ones from getting out of our house. That way we know they leave. That's all we need, guys. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back into the video.
search warrant and consent searches we've performed have yielded high volumes of data, and search warrants are still being written today. The data requires expertise from law enforcement partners, and this takes a lot of time to decipher. We continue to use all of our investigative resources, to include that of the Idaho State Police and our friends at the FBI. Further, the Idaho State Police and the FBI have assigned investigators to work specifically with the City of Fruitland Police Department on this case, and our partnership is healthy and strong. We continue to call upon the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue teams with their specialized canine units, and we've received some recent leads that have put us out in the area again, searching more acreage. And I can't thank them enough for what they've done for us. On a moment's notice, they're jumping and running for us. Although unsuccessful with these searches, we can't stop, and we appreciate the continued support from all of our members. And I would tell you that the number of acres searched will continue to grow. So in our efforts to develop a detailed timeline of events leading up to Michael's appearance, we've processed over 1,000 leads. So we've cleared many of these leads, but not all have been cleared because some require assistance from out of state, more investigators, and probably more importantly, just time to work these things through to make sure we can bring each lead to a conclusion. This process is exhaustive, and
I was just getting ready to say that, guys. Can you imagine? Guys, I couldn't even imagine. Can you imagine being a police officer, a sheriff, an FBI agent, even a searcher for kids, even someone that works for homicide? Can you imagine going home, being this guy right here, this gentleman, J.D. Huff, and with the paperwork he takes home, his mind is at work totally, all the time, guys. This guy probably never gets a peace of mind. And yet, our police officers, our Army veterans, war veterans, don't get even paid enough, guys. Look at our teacher's salary. Some people that works at Walmart gets paid more than teacher's salary. Doesn't make sense, guys. Anyways, let's jump right back to the video.
It takes a lot of time, and we believe someone out there will ultimately provide us with some information that'll help us solve this case. It's important to note that as we continue to refine our timeline, we now believe that Michael disappeared in a smaller window of time, and that's probably between the time of 6:40 p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. on the 27th. Earlier in the investigation, we needed assistance in identifying 2 vehicles and 2 pedestrians that were seen in the area around the time of Michael's disappearance. And so you guys need to know that we positively identified the blue Dodge Avenger we were looking for, and the man that we saw jogging in that area. Those have both been identified, vetted, and investigated, and to an end. So the white Honda Pilot, 2016 to 18 Honda Pilot that we have leaving the area at approximately that time, again, we believe that it belongs to a resident, but we haven't quite been able to clear that and verify that. So that's kind of still an outstanding for us. The man seen walking through the area of the splash pad of Crestview Park leading up to the time of Michael's disappearance, he's not come forward and he has not been identified. So the man's described as a white male adult, late 20s, early 30s. He was seen wearing black shorts, a white t-shirt with cut-off sleeves, dark colored shoes, and a hat. So I need to make it perfectly clear that he is not a suspect, but we need to talk to him so we can determine his whereabouts and see if he witnessed anything that would be helpful in this investigation. So I plan on releasing a photograph of that individual in my Facebook official posting later today. So you'll all have that. You need to understand that this is a multifaceted investigation. So many leads are working. We're working many leads at the same time. So some leads are temporarily abandoned as priority leads come in, and that's happened to us on multiple occasions. Once abandoned and we clear the priority leads, then we pick those things right back up and we're working on them again until we can work them to conclusion, right? It takes an intense effort and a lot of work to document all of the leads as they're coming in. And at the conclusion of this investigation, I'm hopeful we'll find the answers. It's important that our case is organized and very strong.
Now, this week has been one of the best and worst weeks in the investigation of Michael's disappearance. Finally, on November 12th, 2022, late last week, we had a break in the case. After almost a year and a half since Michael Vaughan disappeared, Chief Huff with the County Police Department told the press on Saturday that there was a credible lead in the case of this missing boy. One of 28 search warrants from the entire case was being served to a couple who rented a property less than a 4-minute walk away from Michael's home. The couple does not own the property that is being searched and has no known connection to the Vaughans. The couple renting the property that's being searched is Stacy and Sarah Wandra. They are having their yard ripped apart with a backhoe and large machinery as we speak. As I'm sure you can imagine, they are looking for human remains at this point, and they are digging up to 3 to 4 feet deep. The police department is doing an intensive excavation on the suspected property.
We also continue to follow breaking news in Fruitland. Fruitland police are searching a home in connection to the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. Here's a map of the area we're talking about. You can see the home police are searching in proximity to where Michael's home is. Our crews on the scene say it's only about 4 minutes away. Our Abby Davis has been there throughout the day today, and she is live.
Guys, that's right down the road. Do we not know who our neighbors are? Have we not went and introduced yourself just to find out a name? That way we can actually make sure our kids are safe and there's not a pedophile that lives right next door to us. We can find this stuff out, guys. It's not you being too nosy. It's actually you protecting your family. So find out your neighbor's name. Get on there and type in his name. Do a check on him. You need to protect your kids. Get motion sensors for your yard. Lights. When someone walks by, they click on. If you don't have cameras, put sensors on your doorways. If this guy's family, if Michael Vaughn's family had sensors on their doors, guys, this would have never have happened. It just wouldn't have. And then you got Quentin Simon, who would have done the exact same thing. All you have to have is sensors on your doors. You don't even have to have cameras. $20 will buy you 4 sensors. That's all you need. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
Live on the scene to update us with the latest information. Abby?
Doug, law enforcement have been out here since Friday after they received a very credible tip. That is what the police department told us, suggesting that Michael Vaughn's possible human remains are in this nearby neighborhood, specifically this backyard over here. You can see, let's take a little bit of a walk. The road has been closed to through traffic since Friday evening. You can come over here, you can see this crime scene tape, and then continuing walking, you can see there is they're excavating the entire yard. We were told about 3 to 4 inches. You can see that dump truck there. They have been taking piles of dirt out since about 11 a.m. this morning. Where they're taking it, they said they're taking it to an off-site location where it will be processed. Now, like I said before, police obtained a search warrant and began working Friday night. They have plans to dig 3 to 4 feet deep. You can see a backhoe just went in and it's being used to dig up the topsoil. Now, Huff said in no way that they believe what they are doing now will contaminate any sort of evidence that they find, if they do find any. Now, crews involved in the search include Idaho State Police, Fruitland Police, Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, Fruitland Public Works, and the Fruitland Fire Department. 2 canine dogs, were also here earlier this morning. They have since left, but crews are telling me that they are very hopeful and that they are grateful for all of the community support.
We just have to continue to process this, and if it yields, it yields. You know, I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword. Do I hope? Not really. You know, I hope that Michael is still alive and that we can bring him home safely to his family. But we also know that we need to find resolution.
But if you think he's still alive, what are you doing digging in the backyard? Because it's a lead? You know that there's something not right with this whole case. You hear somebody told you a story. That's how you got your lead to the backyard. That's the reason why you're spending the money to rent an excavator or whatever it may be called, bulldozer, to actually dig up this backyard up to 4 feet deep, spending the money to go get people to go through the dirt for human remains of Michael Vaughan. So, you hoping he's alive? Look, everybody hopes he's alive. And I hope he is found alive. But it makes absolutely no sense why you'd be digging up a backyard if you really think Michael Vaughan is alive. That's just my opinion. I know you guys wouldn't be spending the money neither to rent a backhoe, excavator, whatever it may be called, to dig up the backyard if you didn't know that Michael Vaughan was actually buried in that backyard someplace. But if that's the case, why don't they have the person that gave him the tip tell him exactly where Michael Vaughan was actually buried at? If they know about Michael Vaughan was buried in the backyard, they know where Michael Vaughan was actually buried at. I'm talking about the Sarah and the husband. So, if I got those names wrong, guys, I'm sorry, but moving on with this. You're buried in the backyard. They know about it. You rent an excavator. You're the sheriff. And like I said, everybody hopes that he's still alive. Sure. But you're not going to be putting the time and the effort of digging up this backyard to actually do it for no reason. You know Michael Vaughan is probably not alive, guys. I hate to say that, but it is what it is. It's facts. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back into the video.
Into this case, and you know, we need to just follow the leads and follow the credible information, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Crews have been out here since about 10 a.m. this morning, and they did take a brief break around lunchtime. There were some possible safety concerns for the crews regarding utility lines and such, but you can see now they have since resumed. Now, a family spokesperson said the family thanks the community for all of their supports, but that they're requesting privacy at this time. Now, as far as a timeline, we don't really have one. Crews are expected to work until it gets dark tonight, but the police chief did say that they will most likely be out here tomorrow, continuing to work. Doug.
Police have roped off up to 4 houses surrounding the Wandra's home. Their plan is to dig up 3 to 4 feet of dirt and load it into a truck where it will then be transported to another location and sifted through. They have arrested Sarah Wandra, the only person so far in this entire investigation to be arrested in connection to Michael's disappearance. Police charged Sarah with failure to report a death, who I think we can all assume is Michael Vaughan. Sarah alleges no wrongdoing, and she's currently being held on a $5,000 bond, which let me just say is like the most biggest joke of a bond amount in life, but whatever. The judge on the case has sealed the court records and other affidavits to protect the integrity of the case. It's been alleged that police don't believe Sarah was the only person with the knowledge of what happened to Michael. And I think we can all assume that Stacy might be the other party involved here. However, we haven't heard any information on Stacy yet. I think if Sarah is being charged with failure to report a death, maybe she was involved in the cover-up and not the crime itself. But to be determined. Sarah will be in court again on November 21st and again on November 22nd for her preliminary hearing. It's been alleged that the Wandras had a white Lexus that they sold right after Michael's disappearance, which, if true, leads me to believe that maybe this was an accident and he was walking and they hit him and they tried to cover it up, possibly, or maybe a crime took place in that car and they had to sell it to get rid of evidence and tried to cover all of this up. The fact that Sarah hasn't received any charges that we know of yet for tampering with the body is a little bit odd to me, and I just can't imagine what Michael's family is going through right now. Brandy Neal told a reporter that she wasn't doing well at all, which I completely get. She also said it was taking everything in her power not to walk over to the Wandra's home. Police told Brandy to stay away because they were looking for human remains, to which she broke down and said she wasn't ready to come to terms with that yet. She's still been referring to Michael in present tense because she just isn't ready to accept that he might be dead.
Fruitland woman Sarah Wandra was arraigned virtually here at the Payette County Courthouse, accused of failing to report the death of Michael Vaughan for the purpose of concealing the manner in which he died.
I understand what they've said is not correct.
Sarah Wandra alleges no wrongdoing, arrested for failing to report the death of missing Fruitland boy Michael "Monkey" Vaughan. Wandra lives at the home where investigators have been digging up the backyard searching for Vaughan's remains since Saturday and is now being held on a $500,000 bond.
So look, she knows where he's at. Why don't she just tell him where he's at? Is she trying to cover up something that, hey, I didn't know where the boy was buried at too now? I mean, haven't we heard of interrogation? We need to know where this little boy is at. That way we can actually put all this to rest. And this woman has to know where this little boy's at because, well, it's supposedly in her backyard. She's the one that gave the tip to the cops. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
The state initially asking for more.
She's a danger to the community. And she fails to abide by the social norms that we all expect. And there are.
If she's a danger to the community, then lock her up forever. We don't need those type of people in this world. They're endangerment to our children. Our children is our future, guys. Let's protect them. Buy cameras. Buy sensors for your doors. Buy a kit for $100, guys. That's all you would need to actually keep this from happening. That way, if your kid, your teenager, whenever they come home at night, we know that they are home, guys. We know if our kids or teenagers leave out the door at all times. That's not too much. We are here to protect them. And that's what we need to start doing more. You hear of these cases all the time whenever $30 would have kept this from happening. Now, would it kept it from happening, someone snatching up somebody? No, it absolutely wouldn't have, but we would have at least known he went out the door so we could have actually went right after him. Or them. Or whoever else it may be at that fact. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
Obviously very serious implications in her being aware of his whereabouts this whole time. So the state's asking for a $1 million bond.
Prosecutors also say Wandra was already on pretrial release for a previous felony charge related to illegally possessing a firearm as a convicted felon. Should Wandra post bond, she'll be required to be fitted with GPS monitoring prior to her release. In court Monday, the judge also ruled to seal all documents in the case, including investigative reports and affidavits where the details could compromise the ongoing investigation or potential future jurors. Police tell us they don't believe that Sarah Wandra is the only person with knowledge of what happened to Michael Vaughan. She'll be in court next on the 21st for a status conference and then again on November 22nd for her preliminary hearing.
Are you Sarah Wandra? Ma'am, can you hear me? I need you to move in a little closer to the mic. I'm unable to hear you.
No, I'm Stacy Wandra.
Okay. You're Stacy Wandra?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Wandra, sorry.
You're Sarah Wandra. Okay, thank you. Ms. Wandra, in this case, which is CR 38221769.
So she actually went on to the judge called her the name, and then she said that she was the husband, which is Stacy. And then she realized that she was Sarah. Do you think that this woman's actually trying to get to where she can plea mentally? Is the reason why she hasn't said anything, didn't report anything, because mentally she's not all there? Is that what? Because that's what I'm getting out of this ordeal right here, guys. Is that she's trying to plea crazy right now. TikTok videos all points to her trying to plea crazy, guys. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
You are charged with having violated the law in one count. It is alleged that you did on or about the 12th day of November of this year here in the state of Idaho fail to notify the coroner of a death, the death of Michael Vaughan, with the intent to prevent the discovery of the manner of death. That is a felony here in the state of Idaho. Do you understand the allegation that's been made against you?
I understand what they've said, it's not correct.
All right. You have a number of rights when you are charged with a crime. The deputies typically hand out a document that describes those rights in detail. Did you receive a document like that?
They're giving me documents right now.
All right. So in a criminal case, ma'am, you have the right to remain silent as it relates to the underlying charges. You have the right to require the state to prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt, the right to cross-examine and confront the evidence the state may put on in an effort to prove its case, the right to testify in your own defense if you wish to, the right to use subpoenas to bring witnesses and evidence to the trial as you may determine to be appropriate, and the right to be represented by an attorney at all stages of these proceedings. Do you understand that you have those rights?
I have those rights, but I don't have any reason to be silent. I did nothing wrong.
All right, well, so I'm going to remind you that you have the right to remain silent. I'm not going to say anything to you or ask you any questions that are designed to get you to speak about or encourage you to speak about the underlying events. But everyone who gives up that right and does speak about the case or make any statement at all about it, of course, those can be used against you. So I'll remind you of that.
I'll be honest, I don't fully understand what happened here, what happened to Michael Vaughan. My only guess at this point is that he was killed that very night he disappeared. maybe at the intersection of South Arizona and Southwest 8th Street where the canines lost his scent. But also, if it was an auto accident, I would imagine that there would have been some sort of evidence left behind, especially if it was enough to injure him or, kill him. I would imagine that there would be blood left behind, matter, broken taillights, headlights, whatever it might be, and it didn't seem like there was. And if he wasn't killed, then that means this may have been an abduction, and I just truly can't wrap my head around that. I tend to believe that whatever did happen had to have happened right around the time he went missing. And either way, this couple allegedly killed an innocent boy, and even worse, hid the death from his parents. I can't think of a worse torment for Michael's family to go through, especially when you think that he was only a 4-minute walk from home this whole time. My heart just breaks for them, and I hope he's alive and well, don't get me wrong, but I sincerely hope that if he's not, that whatever happened immediately, and that he was not kept inside that home for a year or so, doing God knows what with God knows who. I just pray that something, peaceful is what happened, if that's the direction that this goes. And my heart just breaks for his family. For the Wandras to pretend like they cared and also help pass out missing persons posters is just beyond evil to me. It reminds me a lot of this whole Delphi case too. It's just sick. I know Tyler Vaughan momentarily lost track of his child. And honestly, all of us parents have done something like that at some point. But now he's living a parent's worst nightmare. I know both parents' backgrounds, and yeah, they may not have always been perfect, but they did love their children and never thought that someone so close to home would destroy their lives and not tell anyone what happened to their son. It's just a very heartbreaking story. I'm glad we're finally getting answers, but it's just sad beyond comprehension. You just truly never know who may be down the street from you, no matter how nice and no matter how small the community is. So as this case is unraveling and new details continue to emerge, what are your thoughts? Am I being too soft on the parents here? Do I have a soft spot because I have a little boy who's, 3.5 and close in age to when Michael went missing? What do you think about the Wandras? Do you think that Stacy was involved or somebody else? I have to think that somebody knew and helped her, and I just can't understand why she only has a $5,000 bail. That is beyond infuriating. I'm just glad that we're finally getting answers and getting justice for little Michael. I hope.
There you guys go. Look, my thoughts on this whole ordeal is this. Michael Vaughan's father was changing the young one. If we had sensors and cameras up on these doors, guys, we would have known he left the house. $50 will buy you 4 sensors, guys. We don't even need cameras at that point. Hook them up to your phone. You hook them up through Wi-Fi speakers. That way, if the kid goes by, they're actually triggered. We know they left the door. And we can go right after them, guys. It's as easy and as simple as that. As far as the woman, Sarah, goes, she knew where Michael Vaughan was at. She gave a tip. That's what happened. So why don't she point to where Michael Vaughan is actually at in this backyard? The cops are spending the money and the time to actually dig up this backyard 4 feet for Michael Vaughan's remains. It's been 1.5 years, guys. And finally, we're digging up the backyard to actually try to put this all to rest, guys. All we want. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. But first, love yourself, like yourself, be nothing but yourself. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's highly appreciated. Salute to Creek Squad, Rebel Nation. I love you guys, YouTube family. I love you guys as well. Your boy Deuces. I'm out. Thank you guys. Have a good one.